So I reluctantly had to buy a new soldering iron. It's one of those deals where it's not my first choice, but kind of came down to it's the best choice and my only one. So let's take this thing out of the package. I'll look through the manual, reconfigure some lights and some cameras, and we'll get into the guts of this thing. All right, now before we dig into this thing, let's talk about what I've been using and kind of why this is a unfortunate compromise. This right here is my soldering kit. I actually got a video coming out, tool storage, where I'm talking about these. That'll be coming out later. All right, that's everything. That's some no clean flux, a little bit of soldering tape, butane soldering iron, the plug for the TS100, that's that guy right there, that's the TS100, some 6040 lead solder, not lead free, because I'm not a sadist, and a little set of tweezers for helping me hold things. And now that brings us to this. This is the Milwaukee M12 soldering iron, and comes with two tips, a point style tip and a chisel tip. Chisel tip will probably be the one I use the most. Get the marketing wank out of the way here. 750 degrees Fahrenheit, which is basically 400 degrees Celsius. That's nice. It's usually the range that I'm soldering in with my old TS400 and my benchtop supply. I got to get the old 45s out. I learned the other day that people in England call these 45s because when you turn 45 you need them. I've needed these since I was like 43, but I think I was in denial. But anyway, yeah, 750 degrees Fahrenheit, 400 degrees Celsius, 90 watts, which is nice. It's got a lot of power, so the tip doesn't cool down while you're dumping the heat into whatever you're soldering. 18-second heat up time, okay. Heat indicator, yeah. Chisel and point, we already said that. LED light, yeah, that okay. 45-minute run time. That's got me beat by about 40 minutes. Length 10.7. It's got me beat by about double. And weight, I got that thing beat. What are they calling it? Half a pound weight. 45-minute runtime. All joking aside, it doesn't actually say on what. I mean, it could be anything from a 1.5 amp hour battery to up to a 6 amp hour battery. So they really don't say. So, all right, so let's plug it. Well, first of all, let's change the tip because I don't necessarily need this tip for that. The nice thing about this is that even though it is a fixed temperature soldering iron, it is temperature regulating, unlike the ones that you would buy at the old Radio Shack where you put the tip in, it's got the little Phillips screw to hold them in. Those things are awful, never buy them. For the $20, $30, $50 that you could buy those for, you can get a actual decent temperature regulating soldering iron for that price that plugs into the wall outlet there. You know what, I wonder if these fit the same, if these are the same. No, I don't think they will fit. These are Heiko style tips. Oh shit, look at that, it actually might work. Alright, so I think the generic Heiko style tips will work on this. Milwaukee does sell these tips. They're like $12, 10 to 12 bucks I've seen them for. So if you do need them, probably just get them from Milwaukee and not have to guesstimate. But it is nice to know it's uses the standard Heiko style tips. But anyway, let's put the chisel on there because that's the one we want to use, and kind of get that lined up the way I want to use it. And I got two different style batteries here. I got the that's the 1.5 amp hour. They also make these in 2 amp hours, and this is the 4 amp hour. And they also make these in 6 in this same form factor. We'll do. I just charged this one up, so let's plug that in. And that is way too high for the camera angle there. And I mean, I guess, let me see if we can see this. If you're using it like that, maybe you're kind of doing this type of action where you're using the thing. It's got a locking head here, which is kind of cool. I would have rather had like detents so it would like click so you kind of get it on every 5-10 degrees, but whatever. So I guess if you're going to be using it sitting on a thing, you should probably use a bigger battery, because the smaller battery seems like it would be a little top heavy, wonky. Probably would still work, but anywho. So let's move that over there. And they're claiming 18-second warm-up time, so let's see if that's actually true. And it didn't turn on. There we go. Now, when it's flashing, it's actually warming up. When it comes up to temperature, apparently it stops flashing. And it's also got the battery indicator, which only lights up when you first turn it on. I guess that's to save power. So let's see how long it takes to warm up. There you go, it's warmed up. It's not bad at all. It's at 90 watts that we were talking about. Yeah, she's ready to go. One thing with these, with any soldering iron for that matter, cleaning wise, let me see if I got one handy. Brass brush is great. You don't want to use a metal brush. Reason being is the metal will wear off the nickel coating, and once that's gone, the tip is wasted. At the bench top, I use brass wool. So let's get some wires set up, and start giving it a go. And I just noticed too, it actually has a LED. That's kind of convenient as well. All right, we got our wire hooked up, well, set up to be soldered. I'm just going to do a simple lap joint. I know on the internet it's very popular for people to do all kinds of freaking origami with their wiring, because it makes it stronger. It's a wire. It's not structural. It's not supposed to be strong. It's just supposed to make electronic conductivity. If it needs to be strong, you need to reroute your wire. It's another thing that bugs me in these hack videos. So we're going to start off with a little bit of no clean flux. I love this stuff. It's not 100% necessary, but it makes everything work better. Again, 60/40 lead solder. Every time I say lead solder is better, there's always someone who says I could do it with lead free. Well, just because you want to do something more difficult isn't a flex. So we'll start off by tinning the iron, and that was actually really quick. I think this thing's starting to win me over. All right, let's clean that and pull it out and take a quick look at it. Needs more solder, but yeah, it's definitely not a cold joint. Now my ADD is going to make me come back and actually make this right, even though this piece is going right in the garbage as soon as I'm done. Alright, so let me let this cool down. I actually have a circuit board we could try this on. I'll switch over to the pointed tip and we'll see how that works. Alright, well, here's our test subject. It's a strobe light. If you're sensitive to strobing lights, you should probably skip forward to the end, because it's a strobe light and that's what they do. I replaced this a couple months back, and I noticed that it was an intermittent, not working, and kind of, if you shake it in certain ways, it'll actually start working. Let's see if I can make it do it. And there we go. Right there. Let's take the power off real quick. And if you look down inside here, I noticed that you might not be able to see that, but you can see it wiggling. The solder joints are basically cracked on it, so this is a decent representation of what a field repair would be on a printed circuit board. So we'll put a little no clean flux on this, and this is actually lead-free solder, which is another reason why I'm not too fond of it. I find that it tends to crack more because it's more brittle, because it doesn't have lead in it, which is a softer metal. So kind of kick that out there. And if I want it to be really fancy, I would use desolder tape, remove the old stuff and put the new stuff on, but for the sake of time, let's just, oh well, that actually melted fairly quickly. Alright, get some fresh solder there. Technically, you could just remelt the old solder and it probably would be fine. But I always like to give it some new stuff. All right. Get the glasses out. Make sure we got nothing bridged. And I don't think we do. Hook the power back up. This is like a 12 to 48 volt strobe light, which is nice because you only have to keep one on your van for stock. There we go. Got it working again. That's kind of cool. Again, I'm reluctantly starting to like this thing. So there we go. This is the M12 Milwaukee soldering iron. Despite its phallic appearance and its lack of temperature control, it actually kind of won me over a little bit more than before I actually used it. One thing I did forget to mention: if you want your tips to last long when you're done soldering, just hit your brass brush on the tip and just kind of give it a good scrubbing. Reason being is the rosin in your rosin core solder, and your flux is acidic and it'll eat away the coating. And like I said earlier, once the coating's gone, the tip is basically wasted at that point in time. So keep that in mind. I suppose this will probably be better. Oh, it finally turned off. Heats up in 18 seconds, but takes a week and a half to cool down. I suppose this will probably be a better tool for me for soldering in a industrial or commercial setting, as opposed to the little TS100. We went over why this is a good soldering iron, but I think now that it's come back to life mysteriously, I'll throw it in my bag where I keep my drone stuff, and it'll just become a field repair soldering iron. And yeah, that's about it for this thing. Like I said, it seems decent enough. It won me over a little bit. I still would have liked to have seen, I mean, I've seen them not in either the Milwaukee or the DeWalt battery platform. I've seen like some no-naming jobbies where you actually clip the battery into it, and you have a proper style soldering iron that plugs into the thing, and it's just a little bit more, you know, a little more handheld, and it'll get into smaller areas. Whereas this thing, I can see if I'm in a tight spot, this is going to be kind of a pain in the butt. But I mean, look, I mean, I'd rather have this than take a chance on some Chinesium thing that I don't know if it's going to hold up for the same price, mind you, too. The ones I've seen, at least. So, yeah, I think that's about it for today. Thanks for watching. As always, any questions, leave them down the thing. I'll provide some affiliate links to some of the stuff I used today if I could find it. And, yeah, that's it for me. Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Again, I just repeated myself. I think I did a little better with the lighting this time. We'll see when I edit it. I don't know. But There you go.